I guess board games are cool. Sitting around, teaming or beefing with family and friends in games like Monopoly, Scrabble, or Sorry. But you know what's cooler? Party games. Party games are essentially a collection of mini games that bring you and your friends together, tear you apart, and have you plotting against one another, all in the name of competition. Some notable party games are Mario Party on the Nintendo consoles, Fusion Frenzy on the OG Xbox, Diddy's Baby Oil Bash, and then there's Point Blank on PS1 in the arcades and even in a casino. First released in arcades in 1994 and eventually PS1 in 1997, Point Blank is a series where you and a friend have your skills put to the test, not with a regular controller, but with a light gun. All the games across the board test you on a combination of different skills, like speed, memory, accuracy, pattern recognition, and timing. There's 4 difficulty levels to choose from. Practice, Beginner, Advanced, and Insane. Beginner, Advanced, and Insane all consist of 16 stages. Beginner and Advanced both also have 4 insane stages as well. And Insane is, of course, insane all the time. When it comes to the rules, they're pretty straightforward. You have 3 lives, shoot only your targets, don't shoot the bombs, reach the quota within the time given. If you shoot an opponent's color, shoot a bomb, or an innocent target, you lose a life. And if you lose all 3 lives, it's game over, man. The PS1 version of Point Blank also had its own version of Pokemon. It's called Quest, and you literally walk around an island in the shape of a gun, defeating enemies and leveling up. I personally think Point Blank 1 is one of the harder games in the series, just for the high quotas and really slim time frame in comparison to the other entries. Point Blank 2 hit arcades and PS1 in 1999 and 2000 respectively. It builds onto what Point Blank 1 had to offer, with more games and a quest mode that's not as Pokemon inspired. In 1999, a spin-off of Point Blank called Ghoul Panic was released. The concept and the rules were the same, even the arcade cab is the same build, but instead of targets, you shoot ghosts. And there's even a boss battle at the end of each playthrough, but it was only released in Europe. Point Blank 3 is the last one to hit the arcades and Sony consoles in 2000 and 2001. I know there's a Gunvari collection, which brings all 3 to PS2, but it's nothing more than the PS1 games ported over, so I'm not going to count it. At the time, Point Blank 3 was kind of the definitive way to play, since it had new stages from the previous 2 games, along with various multiplayer modes and an endurance mode. In 2006, we got Point Blank on the Nintendo DS. Not only was it my first Point Blank, it's also the only Point Blank that allows for more than 2 players to play at once. And at the time, it was the only one that wasn't on PlayStation. Most of the stages did come from the original trilogy, but the DS version also got some exclusives, like Wacky Gator, which is another arcade game from Namco that originally released in the late 80s. Aim for Cash, which supposedly released in 2004, is a rare gem for 2 reasons. It's one of the very few games that allow you to win money almost entirely based on skill, whereas most gambling machines and table games have a higher element of chance to them. There were very limited quantities made, and it's also another Europe-only release. At the end of the day, it's just Point Blank 3. The main difference is you have to score high enough to unlock the money level, and if you can complete that, you got some cash coming your way. Around 2014-2015, Point Blank Adventures hit mobile app stores. At its core, it's a mobile version of Point Blank. It takes challenges from the original 3 games and adds some new ones, allowing you to play on the go. It was free to play and also had some Facebook integration too, but it wasn't around all that long before being delisted. You can download the APK for it, but servers are offline, so you probably won't get past the loading screen if it decides to launch at all. The last entry in the Point Blank series, Point Blank X, released in 2016. Point Blank X takes what the 3 main games had, puts them in HD, and adds new challenges as well. Point Blank X was released in arcades, and to this day, it's kind of a hard one to find even then. Now comes the question. If Point Blank got resurrected, what do I want to see? I would love to see a combination of Point Blank X and Point Blank DS come to console. Call it Point Blank Definitive Edition or something as wacky as the game itself. It would be on Switch 2, PS5, and Xbox Series consoles, and would introduce a new version of the GunCon, a mashup of the GunCon 1 and 2 preferably. Ideally, it would have all the stages from the titles mentioned, along with other console exclusive modes like Endurance Mode, and yes, even Adventure, all remastered and upscaled for 4K. It's definitely going to have multiplayer. I think 1 to 4 players local and online would be ideal, but I do think a mode similar to Tetris 99 would be a fun challenge too. Blasting your way to number 1 of the lobby with an increasing difficulty definitely gives the player some bragging rights. Of course, it'll have leaderboards, trophies, and achievements. It should also have an archive that lets us unlock interviews, art, and other pieces of media related to the game. And I understand, light gun games are a super niche thing now compared to the 90s and early 2000s, but there's been a slow resurgence happening. With advancing technology, it's been possible to use a light gun on modern screens. The Switch 2 is already covered with the Joy-Cons just by aiming at the screen or using mouse mode, but for Xbox and PlayStation, I think they should do like what they did with Time Crisis 4 and use IR sensors around the screen. The other and lesser known option uses the camera with AI tracking that's coming on a light gun product I'll have a review for towards the end of the month. As much as I'd love to see it happen, I know it's a long shot. But your main can dream. Did you ever play Point Blank? What was your favorite stage in the series? Let me know.